farmers.gov. Well, the PowerXchange conference is officially underway here in Music City. Rural electric co-ops are gathered this week to set some industry priorities for the year ahead. CEO of the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association, Jim Matheson, joins us once again for an update on not only that conference, but also what else is taking place in the industry. And Jim, as we look ahead and what's taking place in D.C., the bipartisan infrastructure bill included a little bit of funds that definitely is something that you guys could benefit from.
Well, it sure did. There's a lot of funding there, and we want to make sure that rural America has the opportunity to access that funding as well. There are a lot of programs that could be a benefit to electric cooperatives and the communities they serve. There are programs for enhanced cybersecurity defense, programs for electric vehicle infrastructure, programs to invest in the grid to make it more reliable and resilient in storm events. That means a lot for us in rural America because, you know, we got long lines where there's one single line going a long way, and if it goes down, the service is lost for the people on that line. So we're looking to make sure as a national association that as these programs are implemented and designed, that rural electric co-ops have a reasonable seat at the table, if you will, to take advantage of those opportunities.
Are there some ways that you guys are already using some of the federal dollars?
You know, we have been successful in, so far, particularly on the broadband side of using federal dollars. You know, the for-profit companies wouldn't help rural America, just like with electricity 80 years ago, and over 200 electric co-ops have already gone into the retail broadband business around the country. But it is a sparsely populated area. It does need some federal subsidy. And so the fact that we've been able to access federal funds, which, by the way, a few years ago, we weren't even allowed to apply for it, but now we can, and we're really making a difference in terms of bridging that digital divide.
For some of those little corners of the countryside where maybe there's a rural co-op that hasn't had the chance to maybe learn some of these things that are available to them, what are some of the suggestions for folks that are on the local co-op board?
I can say that for all electric co-ops who are members of our national association, and there are 900 of them, we act as the convener of all this information. We've set up what we call our resource hub, where we describe on infrastructure all these different programs in that federal legislation, what the timing is for when they're going to be put forth. I encourage any electric co-op member to reach out to the National Association, and we can help guide them through so they can think about which opportunities may make sense for them, because it may make sense for this co-op and not for that co-op. But there's a lot of different opportunities. So I think every co-op ought to take a look at this.
You and I talked about something here earlier off camera that maybe not folks are aware of. Talking about, you mentioned cybersecurity. And of course, we think of cybersecurity as far as a government issue, as far as being some of the different ag businesses, but it's also coming down to our rural co-ops.
It really is. There is no size of an entity that's too big or too small anymore. And we've had some of our members, you know, like I said, we have over 900 around the country. We've had a half a dozen of our members get hit with ransomware attacks just in the last couple of months. And so wherever you are, you got to do all the good cyber hygiene, you know, the password protection, don't click on the wrong emails. Some of it comes down to those basic people training of your staff to make sure you don't get it. But we all have to be vigilant. And I have to say, during the current conflict with Russia and Ukraine, there's a lot of chatter out there about cybersecurity issues being ramped up right now. So this is a particular time for us to be careful on that.
Now, as we mentioned, you're here in town for the conference that's taking place. Give us kind of a snapshot what folks can expect to take home from that when they head back to the rural communities.
Well, we have several thousand people from rural co-ops across the country. We're here to share information, to gain ideas, to talk about this infrastructure bill that you and I just mentioned a few minutes earlier, to talk about broadband, to talk about cybersecurity. It's funny, the things we just talked about, those are the big issues for our members to understand, and this conference gives a great chance for them to all share ideas with each other.
All right, well, we hope the conference goes well as you guys continue this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Again, CEO of the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association, Jim Matheson, sitting down with us here in studio. That conference taking place right here in Music City. In the meantime, we